So as a grandmother, I panicked until I screamed out, "No."
Jan Hinson found her 7-week-old grandson blue and lifeless, his tiny head flipped to the side.
And his little arm was sticking out and it was completely gray. And so I rushed from that point forward. And as I lifted him, and his legs were just dangling straight down, and his arms were dangling, and his head was flopped all the way over, I thought, he's dead.
While babysitting, Hinson placed Asher Goodrich into a rock and play, an incline sleeper made by Fisher-Price, marketed to help fussy or colicky babies.
Something is not right. Something's not right. No baby should be positioned like I just found him.
Little did Hinson know in 2014, as Asher was rushed to the hospital, Fisher-Price and the federal government had reports of babies who stopped breathing while in the sleeper, and some had died.
That information was kept from the public, and so every night, thousands, if not millions, of moms and dads were putting their babies in this product that they had no idea could be so dangerous, that other babies had died using it the very same way they were using it.
According to a 2019 government study on incline sleepers that affirmed the dangers, the reason babies can be injured or die is muscles aren't developed enough to self-correct if they roll or get into another position where their airflow is cut off, and they can suffocate. In an old boiler factory in Chicago,
All right.
Nancy Cowles runs Kids in Danger, a consumer advocacy group that came to be because of a different tragedy, the death of a toddler due to a defective crib. Congress created the Consumer Product Safety Commission in 1972. The name sounds like it's there to protect consumers.
However, it's been built up over the years and has different regulations that often prevent that and do often put the manufacturer's interests ahead of consumers.
The reason why? A provision in the federal consumer law known as Section 6B that puts the power into the hands of manufacturers and not the federal government. The law, written by Congress, requires the Consumer Product Safety Commission to get permission from companies before they reveal any negative information about their product.
So if the company knows, for instance, that children have died in a particular product and they've told CPSC that, CPSC cannot tell the general public unless the company says they can, which they most often don't.
In fact, when we tried to get documentation about the rock and play from CPSC, we were first denied. After getting our legal team involved, we received this: pages with almost every piece of information removed because the company is claiming giving up details about notifying consumers is giving up trade secrets. We had another company, Camp Chef, do the same thing when we asked for documents about its camping stove. The law tips in favor of the manufacturers, giving them power over the CPSC, often including when to warn the public. The agency rarely issues warnings when a manufacturer refuses to issue a recall.
These are all preventable deaths. These aren't accidents. No one should call them accidents. These are preventable deaths that happen because either products weren't tested adequately for safety before they were put on the market. Once companies knew about hazards, not enough people were told about them, they didn't take any action. Or, with 6B, that information was kept from the public.
The story of the rock and play exposed the weaknesses in the U.S. consumer laws. Consumer regulators in Canada and Australia banned the rock and play as a sleeping product for babies shortly after it entered the market, deeming it not safe. But that didn't stop U.S. regulators from letting it on the market and letting it stay there, even as babies died. By 2017, the CPSC knew of more than 650 incidents involving incline sleeping products like the rock and play. And in 2018, a CPSC staffer remarked in an email that the commission would flip when it learned of 15 babies dying in the sleeper, yet it could not issue a public warning, gagged by Section 6B.
You don't then let the fox guard the hen house. This is this is dumb. This is stupid.
After media reports tying Rock and Play to about 30 infant deaths, Fisher-Price announced a voluntary recall of the product in 2019, 5 years after Jan Hinson's grandson nearly lost his life.
That is just not the way to do it. It's all backwards. And you can't put back in the lap of a profit earner the ability to police themselves, because it did not work. It did not work here, and it probably would not work anywhere, because their profits are directly tied to the survival of the products.
Last year, Fisher-Price publicly admitted that it was aware of 97 deaths. The CEO of its parent company, Mattel, said parents had not used the Rock and Play correctly.
By the time we decided to recall the product, it became apparent that there is a pattern of use where, based on the data that we collected, that the product was not used in accordance with the instructions and warnings.
Jan Hinson's grandson spent days in the hospital and survived. He's now in elementary school. While he's fortunate, Hinson believes their scary ordeal could have been prevented if the CPSC acted sooner and the Rock and Play was recalled in 2012 when the first death was reported.
If you don't change the system and the rules and the structure and the procedure, and if you don't implement your procedures in a non-negligent way, then it's going to happen again. It's just a matter of time.